What is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. Who sculpts your reality?
Reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening out there. I hope you can hear me. I don't know, something seems to be going spunkus. Not really sure what that is. Hey, look, you see wrinkles behind me too. It's great. So anyway, welcome to another fine Wednesday night edition of Reality Brief. Looks like I'm flying solo tonight. Maybe if Dan wants to call in, he could do that. But we've been putting off this year in review show for too long, and we really need to get it over with so we can move on to what this year brings us. But you know, last year, man, lots of crazy shit happened last year. I don't even know really where to begin. It's just a ton of crazy. What I did though is I went back through our show notes for the year, and I pulled out some of the juicier bits. And by no means is this a complete list of all the crazy shit that happened in 2017. I mean, we would have to do a 4-hour show just to even talk about the headlines. But moving along from that, I guess I'll start off with this one right here. So, in around, this was close to, oops, that's wrong too. Okay, my bad. Fuck it, we're going to start out with UFO sightings because isn't that the shit? So early off in the year, we had a leak from the Chilean Navy. This leak appears to show a craft of some kind venting hot gases in some way. Let me go ahead and open this one up. I don't know if you guys remember this. Come on, what's going on here? Quit being like that. He didn't want to cooperate. Anyway, there we go. So, it starts off kind of slow. You can see the little black spot there. Now, this is infrared heat. Keeps doing it. I'm not his friend. So, whatever this is kicking off a pretty decent amount of heat to begin with. The whole structure. Come on. Let me get to the good bit. So you can see as towards the end, it starts spraying something. Now it's interesting to note because you guys remember Tony Rodriguez. Part of his story includes a little bit about him working on an older Dark Fleet, sub type ship, and there was this valve that they'd have to get into, and every once in a while the vent off something that was building up too much pressure, and there was a faulty valve, and he had this whole story about cutting the pipes open and all that. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you can go back through our archives and find that, I'm sure. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So it's been put forth that may actually be some type of venting emergency situation, which is pretty interesting. Could be the case, might not be the case, who knows? People have said that particular video was, an airliner or whatever spraying the poopy. But, I mean, Chilean Navy, man. You think they would know the difference between an airliner and something they don't know what the hell it is? I'm pretty sure they could figure out what an airliner is. I mean, that's not rocket science, guys. Next, we have Alien Bombshell. Watch leaked U.S. Navy footage of UFO that defied physics. And that's the headline from this English tabloid. I mean, it's interesting how we find all the awesome UFO sightings in the English tabloids. And the U.S. doesn't really want to touch it, man. Not even in the tabloids. They're more concerned with this pop star, that pop star, or whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and check this one out. See, I mean, you're looking at it and it doesn't look like much, but at the end it does do some pretty crazy maneuvering. Like, it doesn't make any sense. No normal aircraft should be able to pull this type of maneuvering off. Check it out. What happened there? No, lady. Anyway, right at the end, it got cut off there, but right at the end, it kind of zooms off to the right, like, pow, like that, real fast. And also, another pretty decent spate of sightings was, we had that thing happen in the Ukraine. And the interesting thing about this, I mean, some people could say, oh, flares, this, that, and the other thing, which is all well and good, drones, whatever, but you can't really tell in this picture, but at some point they do make that formation. Now, there's this formation that's been popping up left and right that we saw last year. It's like this weird triangle type of, typically 4 to 5 lights, and this weird pattern, almost like a constellation, popping up all over the world. I mean, Turkey, I think there was one in Ohio, just really a couple places in the United States, all over Europe. It's just one particular formation, and I'm wondering what that's got to do with. I mean, who is that flying in that formation around the planet? What the hell are they doing? I don't know, but it's pretty interesting. Interesting enough for me to be notable for last year. Let's see, we've got this one here. Now, the picture was supposedly taken in like 2007. I don't know if you guys remember this. It's like, I want to say hoax, but then again, I don't know, man. It doesn't really look like it was imprinted. I mean, I guess it could have been like something on a string or whatever you want to say, but the story goes along with it is pretty interesting too. So, these stunning pictures appear to show an alien spacecraft hovering in the air over the desert and have been seized upon the UFO community. They were taken by a man using the pseudonym Keith Bradshaw, who says he went out to the desert near Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake in California after being told by the craft by a friend. He snapped pictures in 2007 and said he hadn't released them until now. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's hard to say, man. It could be fake. It also could be real. I mean, it could be an ARV. We've talked frequently on the show about ARVs, reverse engineered ET craft that have been put together almost, not exactly, but as close as we can get to the actual original design. You guys out there listening, can everything coming out okay, audio-wise? I had a monitoring issue, so I don't know. I'm hoping it's going out there. Nobody's blowing down my door yet, so we'll see, I guess. All right, whatever. So, moving on from there, we've got the airliners and the F-15 involved in the bizarre encounter. This is something that happened back in, I want to say November. Yeah, November 15th is when this article is about. But it happened in actually October of 2016, but it wasn't reported on until almost a whole entire year later. And basically, give you the gist, something quite out of the ordinary occurred in the skies over Oregon on October 25th, 2017. Oh no, it did happen in 17. A mystery aircraft was flying in daylight hours among a steady stream of airliners that traversed from south to north, between locales in California and Nevada and cities like Portland and Seattle and beyond. The incident began, at least as best as we can tell, around 4:30 p.m. near the California-Oregon border and resulted in multiple pilot eyewitnesses, recorded air traffic control audio, and eventual confirmations from both the FAA and North American Airspace Command that it did indeed occur. The first inklings of the story came to me shortly after the incident occurred from friends of mine in the aviation world. Sparse on details at the time, it sounded like it was probably just another one of the often misconstrued incidents that happen in the skies around the U.S. every day. Ones where aircraft with inoperable radios or transponders stray into areas they shouldn't, and sometimes these occurrences result in local fighter jets paying the wayward aircraft a visit at the direction of NORAD. But days after initially blowing off the incident, it later began to seem that there was indeed more to the story than just another Nordo private aircraft or lackadaisical pilot. I came upon one Reddit thread that was of particular interest that seemed not only to corroborate the strange account, it also added critical details. The post was supposedly penned by a pilot who says they were in the sky over the northwest in the early evening when the incident occurred. With the post coming shortly after the incident, the entry by Reddit user Dupras reads, "Just landed in Seattle, coming from the Bay Area. Beginning over southern Oregon, we kept overhearing Seattle sender attempting to track an airplane with no transponder who wasn't talking. A handful of crews were able to track it visually. The best they could tell, it was between 35,000 and 37,000 feet northbound. Nobody close enough to see the type. Last we heard, it was over the Willamette Valley northbound, and some fighters, perhaps out of PX, were scrambled to go take a peek. Center had trouble tracking it on primary radar. Strange. My theory is they were running drugs to Canada. No news yet that I can find. Update. The gentleman I spoke with said they initially got alerted to the aircraft from Oakland Center, who was painting it on primary, illuminating it with radar, but without transponder information. For whatever reason, they couldn't track it themselves on primary, and that's when I overheard them using airline aircraft to track it visually. The last airplane to see it had to descend in Portland and lost sight of it. The fighters were scrambled out of PDX but flew around for a while and did not find it, and that's that. Air traffic control audio recorded at liveatc.com of Seattle Center Sector 14 is available from the time of the incident, and it corroborates much of this information. You can listen to the series tire exchange here, blah, blah, blah. The audio is fantastic as it illustrates that there were many communications between various jet crews and Seattle Center's controllers tried to track the aircraft as it made its way towards the Willamette Valley. The aircraft was not able to be tracked on radar, nor did it show up on the crew's digital traffic collision avoidance systems. But it was clearly there, although never quite close enough to positively identify what exact type it was. The back and forth between aircraft control and various airline pilots lasted for roughly half an hour. Recordings from other Seattle Center sectors, such as those close to Portland, namely 42 and 46, are not readily available, and it's very possible, if not probable, based on other reports, that the incident continued up the Willamette Valley. We did review PDX approach and tower exchanges from a half hour before to 2 hours after the event occurred, and didn't find anything that stood out, although it was unlikely we would have aircraft as descended when using those frequencies. After reading this account and listening to the audio, it was clear that the incident was both worth looking into on a much deeper level, and that's what we did. Inquiring with the 142nd Fighter Wing based at Portland International Airport, NORAD's reply was quick and clear. An incident involving multiple airline crews, air traffic controls, and F-15Cs from the 142nd Fighter Wing based out of Portland did occur. According to the limited information NORAD supplied, airliner pilots were asked by FAA traffic controllers to help track and possibly identify a white aircraft traveling in flight levels nearby, roughly between 35,000 and 40,000 feet based on the radio recordings. So they're tracking this thing all over Oregon, Seattle, California. Military's getting involved, NORAD's getting involved. Don't nobody know what it is. My question is, if it's an ET, right? Obviously, if there's SSP, if there's breakaway civilizations going on, they don't want ETs coming down on the surface. Everything's going to be, monitored and controlled as much as possible, right? It would make sense. So is this like a random stray, or is this like part of our programs? Who knows, man? We probably never will know, but it is damn interesting. Interesting enough to make the list. The one, what was it? Uamuya? Giant fucking rock in the shape of a cylinder. Giant cigar rock comes from out of the solar system, from another system entirely, and does a slingshot around our sun and hauls balls out of the system. That to me right there, with that whole mystery surrounding that, I think that very well could have been some type of craft. I mean, you've got people like Corey Good saying that there's this Mayan people that run around in stone ships and have, technology based of stone. which, you know, okay, maybe. I mean, it could make sense. You got some kind of quantum, you know, atomic level interactions going on that make it technology. Sure, but outside of that, it would make sense that if you were going to be traveling vast distances and say maybe you weren't really super high tech, you didn't have warp drives or temporal drives, anything like that, it would make sense to want to build or self-repairing hulls, shields, whatever. It would make sense to me to want to build something inside of a giant rock, right? Protection. I don't know. But that to me, definitely. Last year, we've had some amazing strides in the powers that be taking away more and more privacy from you. You know, tons of stuff going on. So BAE, you might remember them from the Chemputer, growing drones out of vats of liquid. They say the future of spying. Earth's atmosphere can be turned into massive surveillance system using lasers. Well, isn't that nifty? Pretty nifty, huh? BAE Systems are designing a directed energy laser system that could allow military commanders to spy on enemy activities from space. Come on, guys. Really? Lasers? You already got freaking cameras that can read the date on a penny from space. And now we gotta laserfy the whole damn atmosphere to listen to what everybody's saying. But it doesn't stop there, because DARPA, in all their infinite goddamn wisdom, they're gonna go ahead and decide that they're gonna make a network of plants to fucking spy on you. There you go. U.S. military working to turn plants into a network of environmental spies. They're watching for danger. Now, granted, they're trying to say that they're looking for EMPs or whatever, but you think it's going to stop at EMPs? You think it's going to stop at radiation detection? You lost your damn mind, because it's not. It's not. What's going to end up happening is you're going to get more of the same, and it's just going to get worse and worse until we put a stop to the damn shit. Speaking of, now scientists this year have discovered a way to photograph people in 3D through walls using Wi-Fi. That's right, your very own Wi-Fi that you have in your home right now that you're probably using to watch this fine broadcast can take a 3D picture of you. So you may be at home, kicking back, thinking you're in your own private domicile area. Maybe you put on a little adult videos or something, have a little self-time, whatever case may be. Someone could be watching you in 3D over your Wi-Fi. Not over your Wi-Fi like tapping in, hacking your computer. No, using the actual signal to compile 3D imagery. It's fucking crazy, man. When is it going to end? It won't. It's not going to. Not unless we put a stop to it. Is anybody out there listening to that? So, this one here to me is infinitely scary. Now, 2017 not only was, a giant year for death of privacy, but also gigantic strides in artificial intelligence have been made last year. Crazy, crazy stuff. I'll get in a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, new computers could delete thoughts without your knowledge. Wait, what? What? All right, so to dovetail with this, I don't think I have it up here, but there was a article that came out not long either after or before this that talked about how excuse me, I'm still a little sick. They're going to use computers to read your thoughts, right? Meaning someone can have a computer open, you can have Facebook on, right? You can have Facebook on or something, and then you walk by and that computer just reads your thoughts. I mean, think about it. They want to have the technology to where you think and what you just thought gets typed into the machine. So what that means is, right, it's not great convenience for everyone. What that means is any computer can read your mind at any goddamn time it feels like it. And I think I just lost my camera. Oh, everything's falling apart. I did lost my camera. You guys can watch it still of me. It's awesome. So anyway, new human rights laws are required to protect sensitive information from in a person's mind from unauthorized collection, storage, use, or even deletion. Thou canst not touch the freedom of my mind, wrote the playwright John Milton in 1634. But I don't think John Milton had the foresight to see some shit like this coming. So not only can the computer read your mind, but then it can delete the shit if it don't like what you're thinking. And you're going to take all this technology and you're going to stick it right in a goddamn AI robot, right? So while we're on the subject of AI, before we get too crazy, where'd it go? Hey, I can't find it. Here we go. Okay, now, you remember Google, our buddies Google, they had to shut down their DeepMind project because it created its own goddamn language, and they were freaking out about it. They had no idea what it was saying. So, not only did it do that, but Google has managed to create an AI that makes a damn AI baby, right? That is more complex than any AI a human has made. That's right, you heard me. More complex than any AI a human has made. Google AI creates its own child. Guys, pull the plug on this shit. Look, you want to do minimal AI that's just based on calculations, doesn't really take in environments and learn too much. Like, I mean, even that is borderline, man. Like, I can see use for some of the shit. Automatic stabilization, like take a toy drone, for instance, right? You got it thing uses potentiometers, or not potentiometers, excuse me, accelerometers, to figure out where it's at, and if wind is pushing it this way or that way, and then it uses that to calculate. You know what I mean? So even that, it's almost a slippery slope with this shit. I mean, Google creates its own child AI, more advanced than systems built by humans. I cannot stress this point any harder. They need to cool it out with this shit. No, they're not going to listen now. They're just going to keep going on and on. So, Google developed an artificial intelligence system that has created its own child. What's more, the original AI has trained its creation to such a high level, it outperforms every other human-built AI system like it. So, we're going to go ahead, let AI create AI that, say, reads your mind and deletes the thoughts that don't like it. Right? And while we're at it, why don't we go ahead and add the function, because some guy out there last year decided it was a good idea to create a damn robot that fuels itself by eating organic material. Eating and digesting organic material goes through an entire fucking life cycle. All right? So let's make robots that read your mind, and if they don't like what you're thinking, instead of just deleting it, they fucking eat you. Right? Come on, guys. It's gotta end. I'm sorry, man. You know I'm robophobe. I ain't got Dan here to tell him to shut up. Dan, you gonna call in at all? No? Alright. Doing this on my own. God darn spigot. Also, developments on that front. Police departments aren't using drone technology for surveillance. Blanket surveillance from the air. LA becoming the nation's largest to test drones. Miami-Dade deploying drones. I mean, look, it's going to be to the point soon, you ain't going to be able to hide nowhere. You got Wi-Fi around? Huh? Can't hide there. You got Wi-Fi around. Man, could you imagine if back in the day, say when they were, liquidating the Jewish ghettos in Nazi Germany, and they were going door to door looking for people to bring on and put on the fucking trains, and all the people that managed to hide and stave away. Imagine if something happens like that now, when everybody's got goddamn Wi-Fi, and they can see every inch of your house. You're not gonna hide. Unplug, right? That's the solution. But here's the thing. That shit doesn't just give you warning, right? When they come to your door, they're not going to call you up a couple hours before and be like, hey, we're going to kick your door in and take your family. No, they don't do that, right? So what's your solution then? You can't just, what, you're going to keep your Wi-Fi off all the time, maybe hardwire everything. You know, it may work for some of us, but for the vast majority of people, would look at something like this and say, that's a lie. They can't do that. I just don't know. I don't know what to say about it anymore. I mean, I really am just, I wish I had my Alex Jones clip because I'm getting sick of talking about this shit. Now we've got Android, right? Check this out. Check this little gem out, right? Last year, Android gets caught tracking what you're doing online by listening to inaudible sounds that are being put into ads. So there's different ads playing and may have some kind of sub noise going on that you can't hear, but your Android, your little phone can, right? And it picks up and it's saying, oh, guess what he's checking out, right? Guess what is around by him? I swear, man. Let me get off the privacy kick before I blow a damn gasket here. Also last year, DARPA. Scientists discover how to upload knowledge to your brain. Thank you, DARPA. So, one of the big things on the agenda now, and it's funny because this kind of crosses over into, SSP territory here, okay? Because a lot of stories about, learning machines and that type of thing, right? They train you the traditional way and they train you with downloads. So, not only doing that, but now the military is using brainwaves to teach robots how to shoot. Not really quite sure if this has any kind of space program crossover or not. And it's not going to load. Internet hates me, guys. Okay. Moving right along. I'm going to knock this out in record time. We'll be off the air by 8:30, guys. You hear that? 8:30. Okay, so researchers reveal DNA-based super-fast computer that grows as it computes. This sounds very similar to something in the programs. Researchers from the University of Manchester have shown it possible to build a super-fast form of computer that grows as it computes. This is up on SOTT.net. Professor Ross D. King and his team have demonstrated for the first time the feasibility of engineering a non-deterministic universal Turing machine. Nothing. What you working on? Nothing. And their research is to be published in the prestigious Journal of the Royal Society Interface. The theoretical properties of such a computing machine, including its exponential boost in speed over electronic and quantum computers, have been well understood for many years, but the Manchester breakthrough demonstrates it's actually possible to physically create nothing using DNA molecules. So, super fast computing power, faster than quantum computers using DNA molecules. Does anybody see how, this is going in the wrong direction here? I mean, now we're talking about robots that eat, that are made of computing DNA, that can read your mind and delete your thoughts. People, really, what kind of self-destruction kick are we really on here? I mean, everybody's seen the goddamn Terminator series, right? Am I right? Also, last year, we had some breakthroughs in more quantum entanglement stuff. So, China comes up with the first quantum satellite. And they're teleporting photons from space to Earth Physicists in China have revealed the details on their groundbreaking experiment to achieve ultra-long distance quantum teleportation, which could pave the way for a global quantum internet. Oh, man. Now, this is something I think that is incorporated heavily in the breakaway societies. And I really feel like that this quantum entanglement principle has something to do with the age regression, the cyborgs, all that shit. I mean, you're talking, think about it like this. If your soul or your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is actually based in light, then why couldn't you quantumly teleport it? Why couldn't you be in two places at once? This is how remote viewing works. So, major breakthroughs on that front. We've been talking about that kind of stuff for a while. One thing that is kind of like another "what the fuck are you doing" thing is scientists are implanting tiny human brains into rats. Now, why the hell would you even do something like that? There's got to be a point where, even though you're curious about something, like, when is it end? Why would you do that? Esteemed scientists, ethicists claim the experiments reach a point where the test lab rats will be entitled to some kind of respect. Are you kidding? Oh, advances in science have allowed experts to connect tiny human brains with that of a rat. To do this, they created clumps of cells that behave similarly to human brains called organoids. Several labs have inserted those into rat brains, connected them to blood vessels, and successfully grown physical limbs. So, it's not bad enough we're going to make a race of human-eating robots, but now we got to turn rats into humans? Dude, I'm telling you, some crazy shit happened last year, man. This is really just the tip of the iceberg here, man. Oh, did I lose my camera again? I sure as hell did. Sorry, guys. Having a whole good time here it's pretty funny because, I wasn't going to do it, and then I was going to do it, and I'm flip-flopping back and forth. I don't know if you guys know, but Virginia is getting inundated with the blizzard storm of a lifetime. So, essentially, Dan has to be picked up from his house by me and taken home after the show, so I really wasn't feeling like driving through blizzard conditions. So I figured, let me just go ahead and knock this year in review show out for you guys so we can get on to the new stuff next week and get it rolling. But when I started the computer up, what do you know? Problems. And, hey, got camera. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm trying. And it froze again. Whatever. Dan, I know you got the alert on your phone. You better call in. Give me some help. Give me some help here, man. I'm choking. I'm dying. Oh, man. All right, where was I? So, scientists have developed, while we're on that front, and this is something that I have yet to hear of, I think, out of any of the insider whistleblowers, the breakaway societies, or the secret space programs, whatever you want to say. Researchers at the University of Sussex and Swansea University have applied electrical charges to manipulate liquid metal into 2D shapes such as letters and heart. So, back to the Terminator series. You guys remember, what was it, Terminator 2, and they had, the T-1000, the big puddle of water is Mercury, and then it turns into the robot. You can make a sword, hand, whatever you want. Jeez, what's going on? Oh my God. Look at all these people watching this train wreck. I'm sorry for that out there, guys. I'm trying to do my best here. Another big thing that happened, I don't know if you guys remember the newest leaked MJ-12 documents. It was going around. It didn't really make that big of a splash, but I think, I'm back and forth on whether or not this is legitimate. And this was supposed to have been a briefing for Bush Sr. in like 1989, I think it was. And basically, it goes through the different crash sites, alien retrievals, all this and that. It was released by, I want to say, someone from Contact in the Desert, which I think, interestingly enough, is Art Bell's new show, or he has something to do with it. I'm not really sure. I haven't listened to it. But this document, once you get it all zoomed in and turned around and whatnot, it's got some pretty interesting reveals in it. Segments from interrogation sessions with extraterrestrial biological entities. It talks about the different crash retrievals through the years. And actually, one of the little things on it that's kind of neat is it gives all of the different secret designations for different branches of intelligence and military, which is pretty interesting. That's out there in the internet land, guys. If you haven't already seen that, you should check that out because it's definitely worth a read through. Some interesting stuff in there. All right, so now also this year was the year that we did Google did the April Fool's Mars colony thing, right? Well, it obviously, I looked into it myself personally, and it was definitely a hoax. All right, you could see, there's poor feathering around some objects where it's a dead giveaway for copy and paste type thing. You could actually find the buildings on Earth that the exact buildings. It sounded like Bush placement and shit. But the interesting thing about it is, around the same time is when a lot of this Mars slave colonies, child sex stuff was coming up, and our buddy AJ Gator, Alex Jones, he gets in on the conversation in this way. He has this gentleman on his show, and guy gets on, and he's like shilling for some pro-Trump movement hashtag thing, whatever, and it gets to the point to where he's talking about the trafficking and everything is so bad, he has it on good authority that there are actually slave colonies on Mars, right? Which, to us, to you out there watching the show, no big surprise, right? We've all heard this before. But here's the thing. Alex Jones jumps on it, and all of a sudden it's NASA, slave colony, NASA, Mars, slave colony, children, NASA, Mars. Trying to bring NASA into it like NASA's got a goddamn thing to do with it, right? So what happens? NASA comes out and says, we don't have child sex slaves on Mars. Right? I mean, obviously, NASA doesn't have child sex slaves on Mars. Okay? Obviously, it's not NASA on Mars. Right? What, do they got a rover out there? So, Alex Jones, to me, is showing more of his true colors this year by helping to build up a straw man against, I don't know, interstellar slavery. I don't know whatever you want to call it, but the shit that's happening, bases on Mars, slaves on Mars, building up a straw man, making it easy for NASA to step up and say, we don't have child sex slaves on Mars, so therefore the every average ordinary citizen is going to be like, yeah, see, crazy. Totally disregard anything they hear about slaves on Mars, right? Now, I know some of you out there listening is like, ain't no slaves on Mars. Hey, whatever, that's perfectly within your realm, to do that. That's hey, until there's actual solid concrete evidence, physical evidence of this happening, it's always taking someone's word for it. Hey, Thomas, what's up, man? It's just me tonight. I'm trying to get through it the best I can. Still half sick and so lonesome. Hey, if anybody out there wants to give me a call, you can do that. Hopefully, I think the phones might work. That number is 528-8130. That's 528-8130. 757-528-8130. Did you hear that, Dan? Call that number. All right, so moving along swiftly. Where are we at? around the beginning of the year last year, around January, is when we first started to hear whispers. Now, we all remember the Gaia mummies, right? The three-fingered mummies they found in Mexico. Gaia made this big deal, big production. It was like almost like clickbait. It was everywhere. Oh, the mummies. Look, reptilian, whatever. But earlier in the year, before that even happened, we had this type stuff coming out, right? Bizarre three-fingered mummified hand found in a tunnel in the Peruvian desert, right? And if you look at that, that looks pretty much like the hand of one of those Gaia mummies, which came out later. No thanks. So, I don't know, it's just interesting. I think the Gaia mummies provided all the things they were showing on that program. The CAT scans, the x-rays, and all that are actually real. I think that those Gaia mummies are pretty much real, man. And it's amazing to me how, you know, something like that comes to light but still gets no kind of mainstream traction. It's relegated to English tabloids and, you know, Ancient Origins. Not saying there's anything wrong with Ancient Origins, because I love that site, but you get the point, right? Something of that magnitude. Kind of like what just happened with the Pentagon UFO program. Pretty much said, hey, aliens are there. Think they're probably a threat. We've been researching them. And everybody's just like, what's on television? What's on the TV? Oh, or even better. Trump. Clinton. Trump. Clinton. Democrat, Republican. Come on, guys. Snap at it already. Pay attention to sport. And then they want to take that story in particular and try to turn it into some kind of financial scandal. Like, that's really the point of this whole thing, because $20 million was spent that shouldn't have been spent. Give me a goddamn break. The Pentagon lost $9 trillion, guys. $9 trillion. $20 million is a drop in the ocean of missing money, all right? Why don't we focus on the real subject matter here, which is that the government just admitted UFOs are real. Guys, they don't... Killing me, man. What else we got? Also, this year, scientists discover Europe was the birthplace of mankind, not Africa, scientists find. Pretty interesting. The history of human evolution has been rewritten after scientists discovered that Europe was the birthplace of mankind, not Africa. Whoa, right? Total mindfuck right there. We've been led to believe this whole time that, you know, what was her name? Lily, I can't remember. The first human. Currently, most experts believe that our human lineage split from apes around 7 million years ago in Central Africa, where hominids remained for the next 5 million years before venturing further afield. But two fossils of an ape-like creature which had human-like teeth had been found in Bulgaria and Greece, dating to 7.2 million years ago. Alright, so what they're suggesting is that human life developed in Europe, migrated to Africa, and then back to Europe. This is what they're suggesting here with this. It's pretty. That's a pretty big revelation, if you ask me. That kind of flies in the face everything they wanted to tell you for the last, I don't know, 200 years or so, or however long. It was 200 years or 100 years, evolution theory, whatever. So I mean, you got that. That's a pretty startling, big event, big turn of events, I think, for last year. Researchers discover a new kind of chemical reaction, which is another pretty big discovery, if you ask me. The chemical process which govern combustion, cloud formation, and climate change are extremely complex. And it appears that some new research has shown that these reactions, in addition to others, are entirely more complex than we ever thought. Researchers from Columbia University, led by Assistant Professor of Mechanical Engineering Michael P. Burke, have discovered a fourth class of chemical reaction known as chemical thermolecular chemically thermolecular reactions. This involves the breaking and forming of chemical bonds between three molecules when the collision of two molecules collides again with third. So constantly updating science, trying to figure out. Nobody really has a firm understanding of it. Maybe I almost think that the people in the Deep Black projects probably don't even have a firm understanding of actual reality and how science really works, because constantly changing the way they think about it. All right, where am I at? Sorry, guys. All right, so what else happened big this year? We had Vegas attack, some type of arms deal, maybe assassination on the Saudi prince, something like that went wrong. People are saying ISIS. People are saying, the Saudis. I don't know. Definitely, in my opinion, not some, single dude flipped his shit, decided to shoot up a bunch of country music people. I don't think so. That's pretty big this year. Also, what else happened? Oops, sorry. The Vault 7 leaks. WikiLeaks was dumping shit, continually Clinton emails, everything last year, and then right after the beginning of the year, they came out with the Vault 7 leaks, and they hyped it up. Well, anyway, if you don't remember, the Vault 7 leaks turned out to be how the CIA basically has set up their own miniature, I wouldn't even say miniature, just parallel NSA outside of any type of, protections from law. So they basically could, instead of going to get a warrant or whatever and doing everything like they're supposed to and then going through the NSA, they just use their own version of the NSA. They essentially put together a group of hackers. I'm sure they caught them and threatened them and put them to work for them, and compiled a backdoor into practically every damn device you can think of. And it's funny because, you're conspiracy theorists. CIA's listening to you through your shoe or whatever. Yeah, well, guess what, dude? They are. Everything that has connection to the internet, CIA has a backdoor built for it, proven by the Vault 7 leaks. Then we had, also directly related to those Vault 7 leaks, was the Shadow Brokers attack on the, what was it? I can't remember what they call it. WannaCry. That got accidentally saved. The guy who saved the day accidentally dicking around with a server name that he found in a source code. He registered, a domain, and the virus saw that as an off switch. So he basically shut it off for everybody. It's pretty crazy, man. So what else? Last year, total eclipse. Lots of sightings centered around eclipse. President burned his eyes out. I don't know where else to go with that, but it happened. Hey, David Rockefeller. David Rockefeller kicks the bucket. That is definitely one notable thing that gives me a giggle and a smile in 2017. David Rockefeller dies at the age of what? 740? You know what? The guy probably ain't dead. He's probably running around in a robot body or something like that right now. Another clone. Blank slate clone or some shit. Pfft, fucking vampires, man. Alright. Then we had the radiation thing, where they're detecting radiation across Europe. Nobody quite knows where it's at. You don't know what's going on. It's all over the place. We're landing in planes and shit. All that happens. We had people in the space program community talking about, what was it? It was nuke attacks in Antarctica against different bases and all this and that. Who knows? That could be the case. It may just be Rush fucking around, blowing shit up. Don't really know, man. Well, let's see. Here we go. Here's a good one for you. Zombies, right? Everybody loves zombies, right? Could we soon reverse death? U.S. companies start trials reawakening the dead in Latin America in a few months, and this is how they'll do it. And this was back in June, so this is, I'm assuming, already been done. A U.S. firm called BioQuark plans to test stem cell theory on brain-dead patients. The method, which hasn't been tested on animals, will be tested in Latin America. The team outlined a trial proposal last year to do in India, but were shut down. So, I mean, it essentially is what it says it is. They are trying to create zombies. Why would you want to create a zombie? I have no goddamn idea. Why would you want to create an AI that creates an AI that eats people? Something seriously going on here. The more I look at this, the more I do feel like it is some type of AI infiltration. And this is how they're trying to fucking get through, is by having us create it to the level where they can take it over. There's been many theories out there. AI in the center of the moon. Phantom 5 Spy's theory of AI in the center of the planet, ancient AI from distant galaxies, you name it, right? I think it's a very damn strong possibility, and not any crazier than, say, we live in a simulated Matrix reality. I don't know. I'm digressing here. Well, what can I say? So, the military, DARPA has also created a learning acceleration machine up to 40%, guys. So, early on in the year, Trump started up that council, Space Council, right? Right? Speaking of Space Council, we also got the Space Corps this year, right? The Air Force's Marines, so to speak. The Marines of the Space Marines, I guess you could call it. That's all on the books. Militarizing of space. All that fun stuff. NASA testing space lasers. Whew, tons of shit. You know what, guys? I've got a little bit more, but not enough to do another hour, so I think I'm going to call it at that. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening to me rant by my lonesome for a little while. Appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with a regular show, regular time, regular schedule, whole deal. And it'll be great. So we will see you then. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in to this week's Reality Brief.